Wake up, buy here, pay here people. It's a beautiful day. Go grab yourself another cup of joe and say hello to Jim and Michelle Rhodes on the Buy Here, Pay Here morning show. Take it away, you two.
Good morning.
Hello,
Happy
everyone.
Monday.
It's another week.
Oh my
in the
goodness.
Buy Here, Pay Here world.
Had a great for me. It was a great weekend.
Yeah, it's wonderful.
I have been personal journey kind of thing of like really kind of stepping into meditation, and it has just it's been a pretty profound thing for me to be able to step into that, and it's just seeing how my my attitude and my mood and all of that it's really been improvements. So I highly recommend.
She's been stepping into meditation, which gives me a chance to catch up on my TikTok and all that kind of stuff. So.
That too.
So she's self-improvement. I'm self-devolving. So
go ahead and say good morning. Let us know where you're listening from.
Yeah, let us know that you can hear us.
Yeah. That's always a good, good to. I think we've kind of gotten past the sound check thing.
Yeah,
but I mean, we still. When we had Paxton on last Friday. After the show, we were just kind of chit-chatting with him backstage, and I said, I am putting it out there in the realm of possibilities that the day comes that we can do the morning show and have someone do all of the technical stuff, so that it's like because we're usually just kind of like, okay, we're not going to do this and this and be ready, and we miss it. But okay.
Yeah. No, she does a wonderful job, obviously. But it's like there's a lot that happens behind the scenes. Michelle's over here managing before the show goes live. So so it's all good. I think for today we had do we have any announcements, by the way?
March 30th. That's the only thing.
Yeah.
So
and,
marketing's gone out. So,
yeah. Very good. We got that coming up. And be sure and stay tuned in for that. You can always find information at BHPH Nation TV. Register over there. So now. So today was kind of a big subject that we want to take on kind of slowly, because I think this is a conversation that when I think about the customer experience, that is the experience of a buy here, pay here customer. I just I'm thinking about especially this conversation, not so much any one of our dealers. We know within our group and in the Facebook groups, you see dealers that are out there working very hard to understand the customer experience, make it better, which is what I say. In order to really improve the experience, you have to first understand it. You have to understand your customer, right? And when I look at this, I think about this in the context of the kind of conversation you and I have with people that aren't from the auto field. They aren't from auto finance. They're friends of ours, people in other circles.
And the, me being kind of new to this is that I'm starting to get to the point where I'm no longer like a voice of someone outside.
Right.
But we talk to friends about different things. And go ahead. I'm sorry.
I just think in this context with this conversation, I really wanted to go slowly, because I find us talking about this when we're meeting people who aren't from this industry. And they don't, while they certainly, everybody we talk to obviously falls somewhere up and down the credit spectrum, right? And we don't know, we just know our friends, and some of them have had a lot of success and whatever, and they're not necessarily a bad credit spot. And so we're trying to help them understand what we do.
And it's actually been interesting is that some of the people that we have worked with in the past, outside of being a consultant to them, that they've been like, hey, I had to do that once. And, and it's interesting to hear their experience through their, as someone who is currently a good credit customer, but they've been there before, and their experience with it. And, one of them was just like, the dealership was wonderful.
Yeah.
They were so wonderful. And others that it's like, that was the worst experience I have ever had.
Yeah. So I think, when we think about explaining it to people, so for this conversation today, it's like talking to people who may not necessarily know the industry in the way that we do. Like we're inside it. I owned a dealership myself for some years, managed others, and trained people to handle customers, in a poor credit situation. So often when we're talking to friends about, what we do, it's not, we're explaining what we do. And then at some point we kind of have to explain why we do it. Like, why would you show up and do that kind of work every day? It's like, well, for us, the why, the purpose behind what we do is partly the success of the customer. We work with dealers, so we're impacting the success of the customer and the experience of the customer through our dealer clients.
There is something very important that you just said that I want to make sure that everybody listening completely understand our why. Why we get on the air 3 days a week, why we create what we create, why we coach, why we do all of this stuff. The big why, if you've seen Simon Sinek, the golden circle, is to improve the customer experience.
Right.
That's our why.
Sure.
That's our why.
Yeah. And so how would you begin to do that? Like if you put yourself in our shoes, how would you begin to do that? Well, we obviously work mostly with dealers. That's how we've made our living over the years. We're helping dealers to improve their own businesses. And one of the things we do is we try to take dealers inside that whole squiggly line thing that Michelle and I talk about and ask them to get comfortable with this idea of many of us are out there running our business with our head every day. We run our business with our head. And it's like, let's think about involving the heart in our business. And let's don't be afraid of that. Let's step into that and let's understand the customer who also has a head and a heart. Let's understand how to connect with them and what's important to them. And so that's kind of the driving why for us is help dealers understand their customer, connect better, have a better experience.
And in the process, be able to make a very good living.
Yeah, of course.
I mean,
well, you're solving a big problem.
Yeah,
So
you're solving a big problem. And it's like, it's adding that heart side to a business that can be very profitable and, really create wealth.
Yeah.
And it's like, so it's win-win.
Yeah. And I can tell you there's something else that also drives Michelle and myself in it. And it's really even bigger than buy here, pay here. Like in the long run, all the things that we're doing in this segment, we know can also have an impact in other segments or other industries, whatever. But really, it's about, and this is kind of an exaggerated example, but it's the best one I've come up with so far. If somebody's got a better idea of how to explain this part, I always think about, when you look at a transaction that is a buy here, pay here customer buying a car from a buy here, pay here dealership, it's not that far removed from the kind of transaction, you know where I'm going. Like,
yeah, I do.
Because she's heard me tell this story before. And it's like we told friends over the weekend. It's like, you think about the experience that a person has. If you were at a ball game, you went to a college football game and your car got towed or impounded.
Because you parked somewhere that you didn't realize you shouldn't park.
You went 2 inches over yellow line and your car got towed and now you're at the impound lot. The fee is crazy high. The line is long to get up there and talk to somebody. When you get there, it's very, very transactional. Like, it's like I always say, neither one of us in that scenario, if I'm the one who got my car towed, I don't want to be there. You can't want to be there. It's very, very much transaction, right? There's no sympathy here where you pay the thing and you take your car and that's the end. It's all transactional.
And it's usually, I not a positive experience.
Yeah, it's
either.
unpleasant.
There's just like, you don't want to be there. Like you said,
there would be other examples.
They don't want to be there.
People have complained about the DMV over the years, like that sort of environment. But, it's you wait, it's unpleasant.
When it's a transactional experience and it's just like, oh, just fleece me, paying your taxes. Whatever.
Same. It's like it's transactional. It's like nobody cares. We all understand we got to do it. We don't want to be here.
It's a thing.
So now what does that look like in the buy here, pay here realm? Even though it's not as extreme as that, in reality, at some level, you've got a consumer standing in front, a would-be borrower standing in front of a creditor. And in some way, neither one of them wants to be there. Like the customer, if you think about, I don't want to pay the high interest rate. I know my situation. I'm resigned to the idea that I got to pay the high interest rate, but I don't want to be. I'd rather be over at the new car dealership buying a Mustang at 4% interest, right?
I'm not going to get what I want. I'm not going to, and it's like, this is transactional because it's like, I have to have a car.
Yeah.
And this is my only option.
And now look at it from the dealer creditor side. The dealer creditor is looking at it like they're trying to come up with reasons really not to do it. It's a risky deal. This customer's got poor credit. I'm looking at reasons not to do the deal and the reasons to be careful and protect myself. And so
we're not asking you not to do.
No, you have to do that. But I'm just saying, if we really analyze the nature of the relationship, it's like, we don't really want to do business with you, but let's figure out if we can. It's the nature of the thing. And so really for today, it's more about the customer side of this. And listen, we're not saying that many of you listening as a dealer would say, I don't do business that way. Like we're very much, again, it's not aimed at any one group but it's just the industry as a whole.
Yeah. By shining a light on what the customer experience is, it kind of, what we're hoping is it will encourage dealers to step into their dealership, walk through the doors and like try to imagine what it feels like to be on that side. And it's like, well, how can I make this a better experience for a customer and still write a good note?
Yeah. And we're working on that now. And I can tell you, some of you have heard us talk about this in the past. We kind of put it aside for a time. And now through conversations with NIADA and with support from Pay Near Me, we're stepping back into a survey. So the first survey, we'll let you know when it goes out, but it'll be in the next week or two.
Before the end of the month. This first survey.
And we'll let you know when it goes out, so you can find it in your inbox and take the short survey. It's going to be like
it's going out to dealers.
Yep.
Going out to dealers.
And then one of the things we're going to be asking dealers in that survey is, are you willing to allow us to survey your customers?
Yes.
And so if you will, you'll be doing that in cooperation with us and NIADA, and we'll be going out there then to survey consumers, because what we really look forward to doing is bringing real information to the conference in June. We expect to be able to bring some real, concrete data from the feedback directly from consumers.
And so it's going to be what has been the consumer experience and where can we improve that? Sure. And it's not going to be from, well, I think, or, it's going to be from their mouths. And I'll tell you, one of the reasons why we've been like, this is really something that we should do. I mean, this is on this grand scale is when we've worked with different clients, there's been opportunities for us to interact with customers. And in that interaction with customers, we've asked them questions. Or we've encouraged the dealer and helped them set up a survey of their own customer base. So it's like, really, it's a good idea to understand their experience, and not just their experience at the beginning, but their experience in the middle and their experience at the end. But we're going to kind of dial down about the experience in the beginning. And that when with one of them, I would do like a preliminary interview for a dealership group, and it was a 10-minute interview. And I was just kind of helping them with this whole process of, this is just like the first round. They got graded ABC, and so only the A's and the B's would go to the dealer I think that you need to call them back and set up another appointment. But one of the questions I asked them, because we sent out this job posting to all of their current and past clientele. And one of the questions I would ask is, first is like, so have you, or are you a client of this dealership? And, it was, I knew that they would be, but it's like, yes. And it's like, okay, so I want to understand, why do you think people have poor credit? And, getting these answers back from them and just like being able to dial into what's in their headspace. And it just, with that dealer and with other dealers, when we've done that, it's been like a light bulb goes off for the customer? For the dealer.
Okay.
Yeah. Right. The dealer's like, oh, okay. Or, what were the motivators? What were the things that they did right? What were the things they did wrong? We've when we've dived into deeper surveys, and it's like, we can guess all we want.
Yeah.
And until you talk to them, you're not going to know.
So when we do the consumer survey, our goal is to get at least 1,000 respondents. That's kind of the minimum baseline we're targeting. Try to get at least 1,000 customers to give feedback here, and there'll be some incentives for them to justify, taking a few minutes to do this thing. But we look forward to getting that information, because as Michelle says, we shouldn't be guessing on this. We need to go out and make sure we understand the customer experience and have a better chance to serve them. We want to understand, certainly the questions will be geared to try to help understand the motivation of the consumer, like what's most important to them when they're shopping, or, even on the account management side.
Which is one of the things that I, as we've done surveys with dealers, that's one question that I think really surprises them more than anything, is when they say, when you were looking, what were you looking for?
Right.
And that has not been what a lot of dealers think that they're looking for first.
Sure.
And
another thing that kind of prompted this conversation was the really interesting Facebook thread that kind of got activated after I did a poll last week on, would you be open to trading your customer into another car at the 30-month mark? So it was just a yes or no. I purposefully made it yes or no.
It's spurred some really, really interesting conversations and some very, well thought out.
Yeah, I'm glad it came up again, because this is the kind of thing that it does come up periodically. I know it's kind of an undercurrent, if you will, in buy here payers. Like, what does make sense? Like, I don't, and I look forward to bringing this conversation to an in-depth sort of tote the note podcast where we can dive into it deep, because there is a lot of stuff to understand. I've gone through the numbers and
we will be addressing that. And just really, as Jim said in some of these streams, numbers don't lie.
Yeah.
And so it's like, if you're, where you stand, if it's because it's a financial reason, then let's look at the numbers and figure out the why.
Yeah. And I think it also is just kind of the reason it interests me as it relates to this customer experience is, what is the customer's level of commitment to the vehicle, as it gets to a certain stage. And so there's a whole thing on that side of it to think about. But it's really about, for us, it's like, how do we, because to the extent that Michelle and I can help dealers better connect with their consumers and have a better long-term relationship and experience, that's obviously going to be most advantageous for both parties. So we know it can be most profitable for the dealership in the long run to have that customer be that raving fan, customers for life, who refer friends and family. Like, we've created a really good experience. And the word that I do hear often when we talk to our clients, I think most people know, most dealers know, that consumers, regardless of their credit circumstances, that people deserve to be treated with some level of respect, like some level of human dignity and respect. And so that's part of what we see most dealers that we talk to understand that, right?
Yeah. And that whole thing about, like, the impound analogy that you gave, people, regardless of their credit circumstances, all have very similar desires. We're born in a very consumerism, whatever. And, it's like they have a very similar wants. It's like, I want to be able to enjoy my friends over the weekend. I want to be able to, get to work on time. And one of those things that we were talking about, and, we've talked to a lot of friends and we've really thought about our own desire, is how long before we feel like, I want a new car?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because they feel that just as well as we do. And I know most people that are consumers don't keep the same car. Most people do not keep the same car, pay off the loan and keep it for longer. They just don't. They find a time. It's like, oh, I'd like to do something different. Now, just because they're in poor credit does not mean that they don't have that same desire to do that.
Yeah. And so I think one of the more interesting things to look at, and we could break this down, like coming in today, I thought, well, it'd be interesting to really break this down, the customer experience, different stages, the shopping experience before they buy. What's that experience? What's that interaction like?
The
and
buying.
We've got people out there like, we've got people like Maggie Pagasic, who's over there.
Helping with leads and stuff.
Lead management. Like, what's that experience like for the consumer at that stage? And then the actual buying process, like the day that the customer buys the car, what's that feel like to the consumer? What does it look like? Like, what lens are they looking through? So, most of us, I hope we do a good job of trying to look at our sales process through the eyes of the customer. One of the interesting things, as a quick example, we meet dealers who are kind of 1 or 2, and we've done polls out there in the Facebook groups on this subject, is think about the difference in the experience. If a customer is, what is required of the customer for a dealership to allow them to test drive? If you think about that one fundamental thing, the difference between, I make you do an application before you test drive. So if I'm a customer, I'm thinking, well, why do I have to sit here through a 30-minute application? if I don't even like the car. You see, so I can see both sides.
One quick, Bill just posted, "Hey, we can't. Where did you go?" So I'm just hoping that everyone can still see us and hear us. So
it sounds like we might have to.
Just want to make sure if you can hear us and see us, just pop in. If you can't, this will get recorded and then get sent over to all the different streams.
We hope it gets recorded. It's capturing the audio. So, that's fine. But I think, for our sake, I think it's not about picking on anybody. Everybody can choose their own business strategy here. We're just trying to analyze the experience of the customer. we're always trying to help dealers understand the customer experience better and help make sure there is a better experience. George says he can see you fine.
And so can Shelly. Okay, good. Sorry.
Okay.
Technical stuff. Okay.
Bill lost us.
Bill lost us somewhere.
I'm not sure you can hear us underwater, Bill. If you're swimming, maybe check the.
He's got a little water in his thing. Yeah. Yeah. Or maybe he's using an Android. Yeah. Go ahead.
Oh yeah. Sure. Cheap shot. She threw out a cheap shot.
Okay, but
so anyway, it's just about the relationship. Obviously, what is the experience for the customer? What can we do to improve it? And we just want to lay that out for dealers to understand better. What does it look and feel like from the customer's perspective? What can we do to improve that, make it better? And obviously, going forward, we could look at this on the shopping experience, the actual day that they're buying the car, and then the whole time that they're with our customer account management department and collections department. What does that experience feel like? Like, there's a lot of things to understand, but I think at the end of the day, it boils down to what can we do to make sure this customer is treated with respect? Can we offer them rewards? Is one of the things you talked about.
We had quite a conversation this morning about that, and that's actually a whole nother topic.
Are we rewarding customers who are performing well? If not, what's the motivation for the consumer?
And there's, like I said, there's a whole topic around that we were just kind of talking about, which really tied into why people, that question I asked about why people have poor credit. And one of the biggest reasons why, with all of the people that I interviewed, the one that was like 75% of the people that answered was because I never learned, or because they don't know how.
Yeah.
They didn't ever learn.
Sure.
And so there's like that huge opportunity to be able to help them to become more responsible with their credit. And that, that's a whole nother can of stuff that I'm really looking forward to. I actually look forward to really just kind of diving into that.
Good.
Yeah.
Well, I think for today we can probably wrap up there. I mean,
happy President's Day.
Oh, what, all presidents, or who are we celebrating?
It's like President's Day.
I'm sorry.
So, well, I know that there's a lot of people that dealers are probably open. But there's a lot of other people, businesses, some of our vendor friends that are probably not open today. So happy President's Day.
Is it really just a chance for bankers to play golf?
And like early spring golf, probably.
Yeah. That's been a joke. Obviously, bankers' hours have been a thing for a long time.
So happy President's Day. I hope that if you do have the day off, that you are able to do something that really makes it a wonderful day.
Yeah.
For you.
So we'll wrap up there, but I just think it's really, for today, was about just understanding that's part of what our why is really all about. It's like, what can we do from our little chairs over here to try to help dealers connect better with their consumers, have the consumer and dealer have a better experience. And we know we got a chance to impact that whole situation. And there's a whole other subject we can say for another day, is like, what causes that customer to fall off the credit merry-go-round? And so once they do fall off of that, what's the experience like to try to get back on that merry-go-round? Because they feel like they're being held down by high interest rate and all these things. And so
that's another conversation we had with a vendor friend of ours. And it was, it's like, that makes sense.
Yep.
It really, really does. So there are a couple of things that you're going to see, again, before the end of this month. We're going to start that survey. It'll end up in your inboxes, before too long. We might even throw something on social media that says, hey, if you didn't get it, click here, take the survey, and then kind of get into that cycle. Because I think that where we're going with this, which is one of the reasons why NAIDA is like, we're in, is that there's going to be some really valuable information that dealers can use to be better.
So we'll make sure you know where to find that, so it doesn't get snagged in your spam
and then the
folder.
second thing is that we are going to be working on this whole topic around trading in or trading up. That's something that we've already got some feelers out there, because we want to just really make sure that when we bring that topic to either the morning show or to Tote the Note, that it's like very well thought out, and that it's not just opinion. It's like, this is thought out about what are what are good reasons, that's not a good reason, what are the
well,
what
for
it
the
looks
first
like.
time, we're just going to talk about the math. Like
Yeah,
anybody who wants to debate,
numbers,
you can debate business models. You can't debate math. So I've done the math. Amanda Sanchez has already agreed to review it.
So
because I've got some financial stuff in there, like what's the balance sheet, what's the impact of the balance sheet, what's the impact of profit and loss, et cetera. So I've got all that stuff in there, and I want her to just review it, make sure that my numbers are good, and then we'll bring that back to the industry, because that stuff is just not talked about enough. And I think it's a challenging thing for dealers who can't get inside this math to really understand the impact of those decisions. So
then finally, just March 30th, keep it on your calendar. It's going to be pretty jam-packed, very, very impactful. And, we've gotten some feedback from some of our sponsors that they've socialized it with their clients, and they're like, yeah, we're in. And so it's going to be really impactful. So,
good stuff.
All right. I think that
let's jump.
Are we done?
Let's go do something else with the rest of our Monday.
We're gonna be working today, so it's a work day for us. We're gonna be jumping into a meeting with